Susan Kathleen Black Foundation is celebrating our 15th year of workshops in Du Bois. Whether you're a veteran of all or many of these years, or a newbie attending for the first time, all of you are familiar with the foundation and know its name. What I want to do for the next several minutes is better acquaint you with the woman who is the namesake. Give you a snapshot of the years I knew her, so the initials SKB will have a little deeper meaning, and maybe give you a picture of something more than just an organization. This is not a life story, no baby pictures. It doesn't have the family, the friends, or the wolf lady or the neighbors. Not that these people are unimportant, but it's just that I want to share only a moment or two in a memory that led us to this point. This is Susan Kathleen Black Parkman, the young girl, the artist, the wife of Jim Parkman, and my friend for 25 plus years. We met in the early 1970s, both flight attendants for the now defunct Continental Airlines. We flew together quite often, New Zealand, Australia, and military charter flights to Vietnam. Susan also loved the London flights as well as the city. I don't think she ever saw Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. And it is easy to fly places in the olden days. Airline employees got dramatically reduced fares, big discounts at hotels, and most of us took the job in order to travel and see places we could not otherwise afford. We did visits to England and France, Italy, Greece, but best of all was Africa and the safaris. I only made the trip once, but I think Susan was there about 3 times and definitely planning more trips. I think Africa was Susan's Disneyland, up-close animal watching and picture-taking at all times of the day in their natural habitat. These are the critters she loved to paint, particularly her favorite, the elephants. Let me digress for a moment. Susan wanted very much for her paintings to be accurate scenery, anatomy. She wanted her work authentic. In her first paintings of elephants, she had them walking in tall grass or standing behind some rocks, as she could not get the feet done to her satisfaction, and she was her own harshest critic. But a big oops was brought to her attention when one of her instructors commented on the perfectly beautiful, smooth hide of her elephants, which of course would never be the case on a real live elephant. She adjusted quickly, and her subsequent elephant portraits showed the more rough and tough, dirty hides. Her work was thereafter divided. The early paintings became classified as the clean elephant period. We spent a lot of time together off the plane. We were both living in the Los Angeles area. I would not call Susan a fitness nut, but she believed in exercise and really liked staying active and being outside, communing with nature. As long as the activity involved the out of doors, she was pretty much ready to go. A small group, well actually there were about 12 of us, made regular trips to Yosemite, usually in May, the last weekend before Memorial Day, and then again in late September or October. Hiking around the park, the waterfalls, all great fun, and Susan's face rarely came out from behind the camera, except, of course, in the evenings around the campfire when we were eating her homemade duck pâté and drinking champagne. And she loved her dogs. There was Jax, Corky, and Captain and Gus, and I probably forgot somebody. When you visited Susan, you were introduced just like you would be to a roommate. And there would always be a little series of tricks to show off the high IQ of her roommate. And I think it was Captain, in his puppy years, would happily blow bubbles in the toilet bowl for you. I'm not sure if Susan taught him that trick. I think for many years, Susan considered her art and painting to be more of a hobby. However, in the 1980s, when Continental Airlines filed for bankruptcy and all of us were temporarily out of work, she decided to seriously resume her interest in painting and explore making it a career. She put on a little art show at one of our gatherings at a mutual friend's home. We discovered at that time that our little hobby artist friend was pretty darn good. When Continental resumed its flights, Houston became the major flight attendant base, and Susan moved to the Houston area. Conroe, Texas, to be exact. She bought a little house that had sufficient space to set up an art studio, and the creativity flowed. She was a paintaholic, but she was also a student. She believed more education was required to advance her talent. She attended some classes at Sam Houston University, and then she discovered artist workshops, Beartooth, Big Sky, Montana. I think she went 10 times. Another discovery during this period of time was a guy named Jim Parkman. Thank goodness he liked art and dogs. And I think he liked her work, as he sponsored the first official art show at his home in Jacinto Springs, Texas, for this lady he liked to call Kathleen. After that, thanks to Jim's packing genius, patience, and all-around support, we went anywhere that would have an art show. Other friends' homes, hotels, a friend's fast frame store. If you would give us a room to hang paintings, we would come. A big highlight for Susan Kathleen, I think it was 1996, was getting an invitation to exhibit at the Pacific Rim Wildlife Show in Seattle, Washington. This is where I also had to try my hand at art sales, as Susan was always wandering off with Jim, meet the other artists, ogle their work, and more than likely, purchases. Like many artists, Susan was a constant researcher and picture taker. She never had just a roll of film. It was more like 100. She had cabinets full of slides. And whenever there was an opportunity to get up and personal, there she was. And the result was usually a wonderful painting. In the 10 to 12 years that Susan Kathleen seriously worked at her painting, she probably produced about 200 major works. She had 3 paintings published by Northlight Books, Best of Flower Painting 2, and Splash 5 and 6. Her florals sold the best, but her heart was with the animals and birds. And her real joy came from the fact that people, her friends, really liked her work, and we wanted to hang her paintings on our walls. A lengthy illness over the course of several months that did not seem life-threatening at the time drained Susan's petite body, her strength faded, and shortly before Christmas in 2000, her heart suddenly stopped. And out of this tragedy came this labor of love. The foundation was a way we could manage our grief and at the same time continue to participate in the community and with the people that Susan Kathleen Black Parkman had come to respect and admire. She told me once that someday she wanted to feel that her talent was good enough for her business card to simply read, Susan K. Black, Nature and Wildlife Artist. So in her memory, and to continue her passion to constantly grow as a painter, the SKB Foundation was created. And it is our mission to strive to encourage and nurture artistic creativity by providing grants for art education and by offering art exhibitions, events, and educational programs that raise public awareness and appreciation for the arts. And it has been a pretty good 15 years, my friend.